Why are Democrats even considering caving? There is no reason. There's no logic in this. It's a promise. Why are we even considering this a quote-unquote deal? This promise is as good as a pinky promise. We are talking about the government, and y'all are making pinky promises with Republicans under this administration. How do you really think this is gonna go? A promise of what? There is nothing tangible in this. To sit here almost for 40 days in a government shutdown and get nothing out of it makes absolutely no sense on the promise of Republicans to do something and trust in what they say that they're gonna do. Really? When has that ever been the case? This is not negotiating over literally trading your Pringles for pretzels. These are people. Why are we even talking about caving right now? Everything in this shutdown seems like on the upside for Democrats right now. Why would we even be considering this? Do not cave. Senate Democrats, please, do not cave.
They caved. The Democrats caved. I know people have to eat, but I felt like we had the upper hand. We won all these seats. And that's what they do. They had the American people behind them. I hope they have something up their sleeve. I really do hope they have something up their sleeve. I hope that they thought this one through. Because the list, I have the list of the motherfuckers that decided to vote it down. And maybe in their states, like I said, they only care about their state, which I guess they're supposed to, right? But these are the people who decided to go ahead and open up the government. And I know it's going to help a lot of people get their necessary benefits, but it also cuts out those people who really needed that health care. And so I just feel like, there could have been a negotiation. All the Republicans had to do was negotiate. But somebody bought somebody off. I don't know. Politicians make me sick. I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican. They get on my fucking nerves.
So before I go to bed, just want to let y'all know that moderate Democrats decided to cave to Republicans to reopen the government. This agreement literally has nothing in return for them. The main thing that they were holding out on was healthcare subsidies. There's a brief recap of everything in the Huffington Post, but if you go into the article, this is what the crux that everyone is pointing out on. The deal that was cut does not extend the healthcare subsidies, but sets up a future vote to extend them. A vote that they know will absolutely fail. They literally agreed on a trust me, bro. This is just a reminder that midterms are next year. And if your senator voted yes, you need to get them the fuck out of here. Now, by the grace of God, both my Georgia senators said no to this damn bill. I don't know who started the rumor that Ossoff said yes, but he voted no. And him voting no makes him the most vulnerable senator right now, especially since he's up for re-election next year. Over 1 million Georgia residents are about to see a double, triple price hike when it comes to their insurance premiums. A price hike that no one can afford, especially right now. If you're a Georgia resident watching this, buckle the fuck up, because not only do we got to get a whole new governor, we got to make sure John keeps his seat, because they are going to be coming for his ass.
Two things could be true. Those Democrats who chose to cave to that uncaged, unhinged rooster, y'all got the spine of a cook noodle, okay? Also, the Democrats really ain't have a dog in this fight, okay? My thing is, why let this drag out for 40 days and 40 nights? If y'all knew y'all was gonna get folded up like a pretzel, okay? Y'all folded faster than a lunch. And I'm not advocating for a shutdown, but what about affordable health care? Like, wasn't that the entire point? 40 days and 40 nights for what? Just to cave? Honestly, y'all just could have put this in a group chat or email within the first week or something, okay? Y'all cave to that domestic turkey with bad ankles. So that's exactly why he's unhinged and does the thing that he does, okay? Because y'all are afraid to stand up to him. This is why so many people are losing faith in the Democratic Party, because when it's time for y'all to actually have a spine and fight back, y'all don't even try to pitch or nothing. Y'all will cave. Listen, why is y'all afraid of a man with bad ankles? The last thing he gonna do is chase after y'all. Like I said, I'm not advocating for the government to continue to be shut down, but the Democrats, y'all gotta grow a backbone or something.
The concept of Democrats considering caving and voting to reopen the government based off of the strength of a promise from well-documented liars. Are we fucking dead ass? What was the point? Genuinely, what was the point of the last almost 40 days and 40 nights if y'all are just going to cave based off of a fucking pinky promise, knowing damn well them folks have their fingers crossed behind their backs? What the fuck was the point? What was the point if you're just gonna cave based off of the promise of well-documented liars? Next, you're gonna tell me that you believe J-Lo can sing. To Senators Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, Mark Kelly from Arizona, John Ossoff from Georgia, Gary Peters from Michigan, Dick Durbin from Illinois, Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire, Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire, John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, Chuck Schumer from New York, Angus King from Maine, Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, Catherine Cortez Masto from Nevada, John Hickenlooper from Colorado, Jackie Rosen from Nevada, and any other Democratic senator who might be getting weak in the knees. I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between when I say this. Stand the fuck up, grow some fucking balls, and hold the fucking line. Hope this helps. Peace and love. Talk to you later.
After a blockbuster win at the polls, it's wild to hear the Democrats actually caved to Republicans on the government shutdown. I'm Beans. Follow me for more honest commentary on the chaos that we're seeing and the politics behind it. There were 8 Democrats that crossed the aisle, and here are some of the names. Catherine Cortez Masto, John Fetterman, Maggie Hassan, and Tim Kaine. That one comes as a big surprise. Bernie Sanders tried to warn us. He said if Democrats cave on this issue, what it will say to Donald Trump is that he has a green light to go forward towards authoritarianism. He said, I think this would be a tragedy for this country. And indeed it is. So my question is this. If the Democrats were holding out for healthcare subsidies, that was one of the main things that they told us, and now they've caved in after 40 days, do they then have to own all of the harm that has happened as a result? Because if you capitulated after all this time and you got nothing, what was the point?
Democrats caved, nothing's new. They'll fail in messaging, they'll fail in getting to the people. MAGA will continue to tell lies to their followers' faces that they will buy hook, line, and sinker. They will paint this entire ordeal on the Democrats, all the bad things that are going to come when they don't renegotiate, extending the Obama-era Obamacare subsidies, all going to fall at the feet of the Democrats. And the ones who voted, who veered from the party, are all the safe Democrats who don't have to worry about re-election. They're old, they're mature, except for Fetterman, who's already made his bed as far as never aligning with the Democrats. Democrats should be embarrassed. The old guard of the Democratic Party is doing everything they can to keep the progressive wing of the party from getting a foothold. They don't want the AOCs to get a foothold. The only old progressive is Bernie, and he's clearly outraged if you look at his video, and nothing's new. Trump wins, Democrats holding the bag. The electorate, both from the right and left, are going to suffer, and the horse and pony show continues.
Surprise, surprise, guys. Mike Johnson has just said he will not commit to a vote on the Affordable Care Act in December. I hope you're appropriately shocked. That's right, folks. The Democratic Party gambled the remaining political power that they can exercise for the rest of the year because they blew it all last election cycle in November, and it was right before that political leverage was going to reach max potency because Thanksgiving is coming up, and if the airports are not functioning, that is obviously a crisis the Republicans would have to account for. And they did all of this for a promise that turns out is not actually promised. Being a Democrat in this country is a fucking humiliation ritual. I think the craziest thing about this is that obviously the centrist wing of the Democratic Party and the Republicans, they're working together, they're coordinating on this. And so the Republicans walked away with a huge W. They could have just had this vote on the ACA in December. It would likely fail because obviously Republicans are in the majority and they walk away with nothing but wins. But they had to take it an extra step further because of course they did. Now they're saying, we don't even know if we're going to have the vote. The thing that you reopened the government for in exchange for a pinky promise would happen. Yeah, we're not going to make that happen. They're fucking dabbing on us. 15 million Americans are either going to partially or completely lose access to health care, and they are dabbing on us.
I'm calm. I've had a little bit of time to calm down, drink my chamomile tea, and to collect my thoughts. And the biggest question that keeps rolling through my mind is why? Why, after the Democrats had such a great night, almost immediately after the Democrats were shown by the people that the people were on their side, why would they start now to cave? And I want it to be clear that it is not all the Democrats that are talking about caving. The Democrats in the House are coming out staunchly against the Democrats in the Senate who are thinking about doing this. And it's not even all Democrats in the Senate who are thinking about doing this. It is a select few Democrats in the Senate with Chuck Schumer at the head thinking about betraying the American people. So I do want to clear that up. I have another video coming soon about what we do if this actually happens, because I think that some people are going in the wrong direction, and it is the same direction that put us exactly where we are right now. But that is for another video. The question that keeps coming to my mind is why? And the answer that I keep getting is money. Big dollar donors. Walk with me for a minute. I did a video the other day about SNAP benefits and how the largest demographic, one of the largest demographics on SNAP, are employees of big corporations like Walmart and McDonald's. Walmart and McDonald's have the largest percentage of their employees on SNAP. And when I did that video, I had a couple people message in the comments and me personally saying that Walmart is actually teaching people how to get on SNAP and Medicaid benefits. And Walmart and McDonald's aren't the only companies that have large amounts of their employees on SNAP. Amazon, Dollar Tree, and Dollar General are also high on that list. This allows these massive companies with billions of dollars going to the top to pay their employees poverty wages right below the poverty line so that they qualify for SNAP and Medicaid, essentially being subsidized by the government for paying their people less than a living wage. So in essence, they pay people poverty wages and they give them hours that are less than full time so that they don't have to give them medical benefits as well. But at the same time, they teach them how to get on SNAP benefits and Medicaid benefits. And every month when the employees get those SNAP benefits, they spend those SNAP benefits right there at the store. My husband, 20 years ago, when he was working his first job as a layaway runner, you guys remember layaway? He was working as a layaway runner and would see people who would get their food stamps and spend those food stamps directly at the store, getting their measly 10% discount. Somebody put in the comments if the discount is at least higher than 10% now at Walmart. And this is how it is in every store. And almost every one of these corporations accepts SNAP. Amazon accepts SNAP. Dollar Tree and Dollar General both accept SNAP. Walmart, of course, accepts SNAP. And even McDonald's actually accepts SNAP. So when these employees who are getting paid poverty wages get their SNAP benefits, they spend it at the company that they work at because there is a discount when they do that. So those companies get those dollars back too. And the cycle just begins again. And these same companies get billions of dollars in tax breaks and tax credit for the business expense of even paying the people in the first place. Meanwhile, they are getting paid taxpayer-funded SNAP benefits from their own employees, as well as everybody else that gets SNAP. Walmart gets $2.1 billion a month in SNAP revenue. 24% of SNAP shoppers shop at Walmart. And they aren't the only ones who depend on SNAP revenue. Kroger gets $700 and something million a month when it comes to SNAP revenue. Target, Trader Joe's, Aldi's, and other companies also reach their bottom line and heighten their revenues based on monthly SNAP benefits. So naturally, the Food Industry Association, which all of these companies are under, have been talking about how the local economies are going to be hurt because of the interruption in SNAP payouts. Because $8 to $9 billion a month ain't nothing. And people who get these SNAP benefits are guaranteed to spend them because they need to. So if they're not getting the SNAP benefits, now you're messing with the corporations. So the corporations have started pushing back on the senators because now you're messing with their money. You see why we need to do that blackout between the 25th and the 2nd? And I agree with all the people in my comments saying that you should start now doing that blackout and you should make it last until next year. Because these companies only speak one language. When you start messing with their money, now they start pushing back on the senators. But the thing is, they're not pushing back on the Republicans who have the power, who have the ability to get their butt back in the House and pass a standalone bill for SNAP. They're not pushing back on them because they have the power to do those tax cuts. They gave them a $5 trillion tax cut. So they're not going to push back on the Republicans who have been so good to them so far. They are pushing on the Democrats because they also give the Democrats like Chuck Schumer money. They also fund their campaigns. So the Democrats, the established Democrats, the ones who are still taking PAC money, the ones who are still taking AIPAC money, the ones who are still beholden to their donors will always do what their donors say above what is best for the people. People like Chuck Schumer, establishment Democrat, who take all this money from these corporations, suddenly no longer care about the 50 to 51,000 people who are estimated to be lost without health care. Suddenly, those people's lives no longer matter to people like Chuck Schumer. When the corporations start threatening the dollar because the corporations' dollars are being threatened, all of a sudden, Chuck Schumer loses his nerve. All of a sudden, Chuck Schumer wants to put people back to work instead of making sure that those same people are still alive in the years to come. I think when people hear me say 50,000 people will be unalived, they're just thinking 50,000 people. No, I mean 50,000 people a year. That is 100,000 people in 2 years. That is 200,000 people in 4 years. And it goes on from there. For the people who think that you may not be affected by what's going on, for the people who think, oh, I don't have Obamacare, I don't have the ACA, so I'll be fine. If you think your premiums aren't going up as well, you got another thing coming, because it's all going to go up. Without those ACA subsidies and without Medicaid keeping the prices low, everything is going to go up. You are not safe. And it sucks that people are so narrow-minded that you think that just because it won't affect you now, it won't affect you ever. That is narrow-minded and naive for you to think that you are untouchable. Chuck Schumer gets free health care. They all do. The Congress is living in a socialist bubble where their food is paid for at $79 a day. SNAP beneficiaries only get $6 a day. $6 a day. People like Chuck Schumer get $79 a day. They eat well on our tax dollars. They get free or heavily discounted childcare, and they have been paid throughout this entire shutdown. And the House members haven't worked a day in 2 months, except for people like Jasmine Crockett and AOC that have been traveling around. They've been working. But do you think that the Republicans have been holding town halls? They have not. They're not working. So it is very interesting to me that after such a victory on last Tuesday, the Chuck Schumers of the world are suddenly ready to cave. But when you follow the money, it makes perfect sense. We have got to start voting in progressives. We have got to start voting in people that have our best interest at heart. It needs to be a litmus test now. If they take any type of PAC money from big corporations, they're not going to be for us. When the rubber hits the road, they are not going to be for us. They will never stand against their donors, not even to save our lives. We've got to get money out of politics, and the only way that we can do that is to stop voting for these people who obviously care more about the green than the blood pumping through our hearts.
Watching 8 Senate Democrats capitulate with the Republicans to push forward a vote to end the government shutdown feels like a far cry from the excitement that I and so many felt on election night. Do you remember what Tuesday felt like? I mean, do you remember how it felt to watch Democrats across the political spectrum get huge wins? I mean, yet everything from Zoran Mamdani having such a monumental win that had so many of us excited, to the gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and in Virginia of Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill. And I think my biggest takeaway from election night can be summed up in Prop 50 and the Mississippi Democrats ending the Republican supermajority. The Mississippi Democratic Party Vice Chair Jody Brown said that the Mississippi voters showed what is possible when we show up together. I think it's so important to look at all of these campaigns as a contrast between what it looks like when you connect with and push policy for the people at your local level versus the Republican politicians in a lot of these spaces who are just regurgitating right-wing talking points from Fox News and Heritage Foundation think tanks. I think our collective excitement is rooted in this idea of what it looks like when politicians are actually connecting with, talking to, speaking on behalf of the people. I mean, the digital campaigns that these campaigns ran were incredible. Living in this digital space and digital world. You contrast that with these 8 Senate Democrats who seem so out of touch, not just with what the American people are experiencing, but with the world as a whole. And so often when people have this conversation, the accusation of ageism shows up. But I do think it's important to recognize that sometimes you can be so disconnected from the world as it is that it is impossible for you to make informed decisions about the future. Even President Obama said that the fact that there are old men who refuse to let go of power is one of the key things that is messing up the world right now. And I'm not anti-career politicians, but I am anti people who've been so insulated by their political position that they are no longer connected to, talking to, or reflective of the people. Because if you go online, it is very abundantly clear that people did not want this. But the decisions were not made by the people on Sunday night. They were made by politicians who seem to be completely disconnected. The future of democratic politics, in my opinion, is politicians who understand how to meet people where they are, connect with them where they are, and speak on behalf of the things that they're hearing from the people. The old guard that seems to be refusing to let go of power is only hurting our progress. And with the announcement of the retirement of Nancy Pelosi, who should be applauded for so much of the great work that she's done, she is a great representation of what it looks like when the old guard finally steps down. Because Tuesday was a celebration of the voice of the people, and Sunday night was a betrayal of the very people that you're supposed to be representing. And I'd much rather live in the glow of a Tuesday night than the agony of the Sunday night. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.